number? Yep. 26,000 is very, very close. It's just around hovering 20,000 across the country. And girls, how many girls do you think, girl members in Girl Guides of Canada? Pardon? 10,000? 100,000. So kind of less than that, like 78,000. But we're growing every year. So to get started, everybody has their kind of conceptions about what they think Girl Guides of Canada is. So shout out what you think of when you hear Girl Guides. Cookies. I brought some. Make sure you're opening
$5 a box. You can talk to us after.
Should get them for sale.
What else do we have in Girl Guides? When you think about Girl Guides, what do you think of? Be prepared. Absolutely. What else? Confidence. Absolutely. That's what we want to see our girls develop. Absolutely. Safe space. Empowerment. These are all great words. Camping. Absolutely. Absolutely. So my experience as a volunteer is that I get to work directly with our youth members. So I specifically have a unit of 30 teenagers, so 12 to 14-year-olds that meet once a week every Monday night. And this is what we use, and this is how we develop our content.
Great. And so I'm kind of here from the back end of like letting you know how we developed this new platform for our program. And Paula is here as really a key and vital user of this platform. So we're kind of, we thought it would be cool to co-present. And for the first little bit, I'm going to take you through a few slides of the process. And then Paula's going to jump onto the platform, give you a little bit of a demonstration from a guider. That's what we call adult volunteers, from a guider perspective. And then I'll jump on in our staging environment to give you a test girl kind of view and some of the differences that you might see as a girl. Yeah. So let me just start off by saying we're a really old organization. I know there's a lot of policy folks and people who aren't necessarily developers, so I'm just going to take 2 seconds to give you a bit of context. So we're a very old organization. We've been around for over 100 years. With that, we are steeped in tradition. And a lot of our volunteers are very committed and have been part of the organization for decades. And I'm talking, I have met women who have been part of GGC, that's what we call Girl Guides of Canada, for like 70 years. So this is a lifestyle. They call themselves Bleeding Blue. It's an identity for a lot of people, and so change isn't easy in any respect for anybody. I think we all know that change is uncomfortable, but for this specific community, it is really important to them that we keep the girl experience how they believe it should be, and everybody has their different views of that. But no matter how long they've been involved with the organization, volunteers generally want the best for the girl. And I think that we can all agree that in 1970, the girl experience was a lot different than it is today. And so what we did was we created a digital platform so that our program, so what a 5-year-old girl versus a 17-year-old girl would experience when she goes to this unit meeting that Paula leads. There's almost 6,000 of them across the country that meet weekly. So when she goes and has that experience, it's going to be relevant to her. And maybe in the last decade, we've kind of like fallen off that relevance. And so we're trying to make sure that our program remains relevant. And the way that we do that isn't by printing more books that can't be edited and can't keep up to world events and politics and the Me Too movement and all of these things that are happening to young women and girls all across the world. So why digital? So this is like a very girl-friendly little presentation here. So we can be agile and get new content out quickly. So I referred to Me Too. There's a lot of policy changes in Canada that girls need to be up with. We can be responsive and relevant. So if girls are telling us we need more mental health programming, we can just get that. We can get a subject matter expert, Kids Help Phone, Psychology Foundation of Canada. They're our partners. We can build out a program and we can launch it. And we don't have to wait for the next reprint of a book. We can hear from members on what content resonates with them via some interactivity that we've got on the platform, like favoriting and liking. And we can better support volunteers by making a bit of a one-stop shop. So before, Paula would have to go on and like research different ways to get badges.
Absolutely. So you would find the book, and then you would have to read the activity, and then you would have to figure out what your plan was. Are we going to play a game? Are we going to do a craft? What supplies do I need? How long will this take? And it was a lot of effort as a volunteer that has a day job and has other things going on. With this new platform, I can go in, and I'm sure we'll show you, and pick the length of time I have, the amount of supplies that I have, the type of programming I want, and it's there.
So we wanted to make guiders' lives easier because they already do so much. So this was a big process. I won't go through all of this, but essentially it started in 2012 when our board said, hey, listen, we need a new program for girls. And the Spark, so we have 5 branches. Sparks are 5 to 7. They're like the cute ones that you always buy cookies from. And then Brownies, who are 7 to 9-year-olds, they're also very sweet, dancing around a mushroom, it's a toadstool. And then you have the guides, Girl Guides, who are 9 to 11-year-olds. Then you have Pathfinders, 12 to 14. You'll see a big drop off on membership there because girls specialize in basketball or whatever they want to do. And then you'll see the 15 to 17-year-old Rangers, okay? So all of them had different programs. We wanted to make a scaffolded program so they all had kind of different, the same common themes they were learning about, but they were scaffolded on one another. So they were learning about relevant ways. So Sparks might be learning about how to identify emotions, whereas Rangers would be thinking, how am I going to support my friend through a mental health crisis? So they're learning very, very different things, and it's scaffolded. So the board said, hey, listen, we need a new program, and we want it to be common. We had a steering committee, and over 3.5 years, they did a bunch of research. And then in 2017, we realized they were maybe going in a direction. It wasn't digital, it wasn't going to be agile. So we kind of course corrected, and we decided to do a digital platform. In July of 2017, we made this kind of call, and we went off across the country. We did presentations and sit-down focus groups with adult volunteers and girls in every single one of our provinces to talk to them about their needs for the program, but also to show them a non-functional prototype of the platform itself, like gray boxes, and we'll show you that. And then once we did that, we got the feedback from them. In 2017, we had to figure out who's going to host this for us and what's the security and all that good stuff. And then from January until August was our development time. So from January until May, June was our development time. Then July was our UAT, our user acceptance testing month, which evaporated. And then August was our early access program for key stakeholder groups, and then we launched in September. We had to get key groups, we call them champions, of adult volunteers who would champion the change, so about 250 champions across the country, who would be that peer, the Paulas, the peers who are like, hey, listen, we know we need a change, gung-ho, they're extra educated, we brought them into conferences, and they're extra educated about the program itself. And then they've been on, and they will kind of close their term June of this year. So they're helping us with that change management. So yeah, process, we started with user requirements. You can just think about how the requirements change with a 5-year-old versus a parent versus a guider who is not happy that we're going online, because they want to book, they want to be in their tent, they want to be able to bring it, and they don't want change. Yeah. We had girl interviews, we developed a story map, we had lots and lots of user requirements and user stories, but of course it wasn't all possible to do. We did a gap analysis and did some very basic design and layout with some artboards, and that's what we took across the country so they could get the look and feel with those kind of yucky gray boxes, just to give them an idea of the user experience for the UX guy back here. And then we did some testing and framing, and as I said, we had a few challenges, and these are the top 3 of like 1,000. So the number one thing is like technology projects, they are never on time, but you just have to believe that the folks they can do it. So you're in their corner and you're going, yes, you can do it. But it doesn't work like that. So in July, we did have some issues, and our testing kind of evaporated, as I said before. We didn't have enough girl interviews. Like, we didn't engage girls enough. So our stakeholder group was women volunteers who had a lot of investment in it. And so this platform ended up being built probably more for them than the girl. And we're recognizing that now. And that's about it. So I think we did some community. Okay, great. So I'm going to bring you to the platform. Is that cool? Yeah, I've already gone through that. So do you want to start with,
sure,
are you
absolutely.
signed in?
Yep, I am.
Okay, great. Any questions right now?
I have been a member of Guiding since I was 5. I've come up all the way through, and this Girls First programming and seeing it go digital is something that I'm incredibly proud of and incredibly excited about within our organization. I am seeing it on the computer, but not on the screen.
You know what? I'm just going to, hold on.
1 second.
I'm just going to get out of presentation. Is that back?
Maybe it's a double window.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do an extend. I must have created
That's
an
okay.
extend.
Okay, welcome to Girls First. So in Girls First, as a guider, this is how I'm going to be planning my weekly meetings with my kids and trying to get these girls excited about whatever we're doing. So this is actually my website. So I log into the platform, and this is the first thing that I see. I can see the different program areas, which are really exciting for me. I'm gonna have to turn this way. So there's about 7 right now, and I'm really excited that Girl Guides is launching an 8th this week, which I'm really pumped about. And it is camping, which is my favorite area.
It's not camping. It's not camping. It's into the outdoors.
Just kidding. There will be some camping components, and I am very excited about the camping components. And then underneath each of these program areas, there are themes that I can go through. And yeah, so this is what you have. At the bottom, there's lots of fun stuff. So, okay, so I'm going to take you into my unit, because this is what I would click on. And you can see these are my other guiders. If I had a girl assistant, so like a 15-year-old who helped with my 12-year-olds, she would be listed there. We don't have one, so that's fine. We have an upcoming meeting. So next Monday, we have a guide visit, and we can see the time, what we're doing. But I'm going to plan a new meeting with you folks. So I'm going to plan a meeting. And what are we going to call this meeting? Let's call this meeting a coding meeting, because that's what you guys are up to. So it'll be coding. I can put my date in here. We'll pretend it's on the 30th. We don't meet on the 30th, but that's fine. And then I could enter some meeting notes. So I'm saying we're going to learn how to code. So notes here. Notes, perfect. Okay, and then I can put in my detailed instructions, and I can chuck in YouTube links if I want to show something there. I can put in whatever I need so that I have notes for all of my other guiders, because we're a team and we're all volunteers, and this is a place where we can kind of share what we're doing. And then at the bottom, this is the most exciting part, I can add activities. So in this section, I'm adding activities from things that I have favorited or from our unit favorited. So the girls have favorited things. So you can see that 3 girls have favorited duct tape creations. So we can do something with duct tape. Sure, why not? Or we can do breaking down barriers in the cards. There's lots of different activities here that we can choose. So let's do this one. We'll click this one. So we know it's going to take 30 minutes. Let's also do the breaking down barriers, because that's another 30 minutes. And I need 15 minutes. So those are my 3 activities for the night. I can hit done. And boom, they're in the meeting here. I can go into all of these later and get my supplies. So I can click on duct tape creations. This is really exciting for a 12-year-old to do a duct tape creation, by the way. So we're really excited about this. You can see the outcomes about how we're going to be creative. We're going to learn some skills, creativity, and innovation, things you need to be in order to code, right? You need to be creative and innovative. What you'll need, okay, I'm going to need duct tape. That's pretty straightforward, but it also tells me everything else I need. So large resealable bags, unsharpened pencils, all those details. Gives me some good before you start informations, and then it goes through what to do. And it goes through every single step, which is incredibly helpful. Stuff you can talk about. So we can talk about how we define art. Where do you see art in your everyday life? How can we use duct tape in our everyday lives? We can expand upon this. There's tips, tricks, and more, so you can learn a little bit more about what's going on. There's resources here, so duct tape creation instructions. I can download this and print it off if I want to, which is helpful. Some of our meeting spaces have Wi-Fi, others don't, so having an ability to download is important. And last but not least, we have feedback and comments. So let's see if anyone has, 4 people in our guiding community have told us information about this. My Pathfinders made their duct tape pieces. It's great, we love it. So this is what we have, and this is what we're working with. And then over on the side here, we have more information. 207 people have told me that this is a great idea, and only 7 people didn't like it. Yeah, all the program areas are all here, and this is it. And so all of a sudden, I have a beautiful meeting, and it was so simple. We've made a great meeting, and our kids are going to love it. That's basically what it looks like from my point of view, and we're happy about this.
Yeah, so let me just show you some of the filters. Like, I just want to go back.
Oh, please do. It's complicated to.
Yeah,
Do you want me to drive? I can do the filters.
Sure. So wait here one sec. So when we were starting off, you know, how do you have an intro page for a girl or a parent or a guider coming on? We started with an intro page, but we just ended up burying all of the information. So we just started with the Explore page. And the Explore page, Paula already showed you. You know what? I'm just going to, can you go to the first tab there?
This one?
Yeah.
The drift file?
Sorry, the first tab up
first
at top.
tab.
Yeah.
Got ya.
Just because this is what actually girls see. So this is kind of part of that challenge I was talking about. We didn't make it enough for the girls. Let's do a control. Make it a little bigger for folks. So these are the badges. Now when girls work toward, when they like activities or favorite things, they want to know what they're working towards, and some people care about badges more than the activity themselves. So we wanted to put the actual badge so they could connect these new program areas to the actual visual of their little badge. If we go into just even one of them, it'll bring us to a search, filterable, no, just a left one. Left click. Oh, you were. Oh, yeah,
We're not
here we
tech
go.
people.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Okay, this is a staging environment, so not all of the new stuff is on here, just because I couldn't show you a real girl, just for obvious reasons. But you can filter it through your program areas or themes, so they'll just kind of come out and you can sort. Skills, so if there's a guider and they're saying, oh, my girls are getting in fights every unit meeting, and they need some conflict resolution skills. You can click that there, and then there's going to be lots of activities for team building and rah-rah. Oh, yeah, good. And then activity type is what Paula was talking about earlier. So this is another just a design feature to make guiders' lives easier. So if they have no materials, if they want to go outside, if it's a girl on her own, actually, she wants to just do something, then it'll say individual, and she can filter out based on those things. This is just jargon. So an activity can be like 15 or 30 minutes, but instant meetings or challenges take 1 or 2 or 3 meetings. So it's all like a thematic kind of theme of activities. If you go up to the top, so that's her unit. So anybody connected to a unit which is like a group, will have one of these pages, and Paula showed you hers. My favorites, so I just wanted to stop on the favorites and the liking. It was a real learning for us, and we're still trying to get around it. When we created this, we thought people would like or dislike once they've read the activity, had maybe done the activity, or even if they haven't done it, they know whether they are going to like it or not. But what we found is that people were liking and disliking, and we knew they had not even read through that activity because we literally just launched it and people were liking or disliking based on the title or, just really, really random things. So we were hoping to get some metadata from that to say like, oh, this activity really isn't jiving with people, so we're gonna pull it or like look at it and like change it. But that's actually been a bit useless, the data from that. And people are kind of confused with the favoriting versus the liking, so it's actually confusing people, which is not what we wanted. So favoriting, as Paula said, guiders or girls can favorite any activities and they'll end up in a little bit of a shopping cart in their unit page. And from that, they can load those into meetings. It seems like an extra weird step to create, but we're all about being girl-driven. And that means guiders are not allowed to no longer just say, oh, we're doing this and this and this, and the girls are saying, we really want to do this, and they're like, you know, that's not happening. It's not happening anyways, but I mean, we didn't want that to happen through this. We wanted to encourage even more girl-driven behavior. So we said, hey, guiders, every activity you load into a meeting has to be favorited. But then, like, 5- and 6-year-olds aren't going to be on this thing. So we said, okay, like, guiders, you can favorite them, and then you can load them on. But then what ends up happening is that you're adding another step to the volunteer. Because those volunteers of Sparks and Brownie units, or the volunteers of Pathfinder units, and the Pathfinders just don't want to be online and do this, you're actually giving them more time and more duties than they really need to. So we're contemplating whether we should remove that extra step so you can just add in an activity right from there.
From a user's standpoint, I spend most of my time on this screen filtering out activities and then favoriting them and then having to go all the way back around. Yeah. So I can understand what she's saying.
Yeah, yeah. And it was contemplated like it's going to be a short list, it's going to be a smaller list. You can filter through that little smaller list. You can go sort by program area. If the girls want to work on that badge versus that badge, you can actually sort that. That's cool, but yeah, it didn't really work out. So that's another change.
This is still our first year. Like, things are still happening.
Yeah, this is transition year. So the last thing is that you see that pink little avatar up there, and beside Spark. So yeah, you can click on profile. Yeah. So each girl and guider has a profile, and the profile is boring in this one because it's like a yeah. So it'll say her name. It'll say all of her awards and badges, and you can see the visual representation of them, which is cool for girls. And her activity history. So every time she is in a meeting, so Paula just created that coding meeting, after the meeting happens, Paula logs that meeting, logs it. After it's logged, all of those activities, and she tracks attendance of who was at that meeting, all of the girls who were present at that meeting get all of those activities in their activity history. So you hear a lot of...
This saves me so much time. This is the best thing that they've created, in my opinion, because it would take me hours to log every single girl's like records into these big Excel sheets. This is genius. I'm obsessed with this.
I didn't, anyway.
I love it.
So the good thing about this is girls who are 11 years old and who have been in guiding since 5, they forget everything they've done. Like, they don't remember. You say, hey, cool, you've got a space badge. What'd you do for that? And they're like, I don't know. Like, they totally forget everything. So this is kind of a history, which is kind of nice, and it stays with them for their entire guiding career. And then, yeah, even when they become guiders and things like that. So the whole history part is kind of cool. And that's, one thing is like this piece of like not making it girl-friendly enough. Like, this is exactly an example of that. So that boring pink avatar there, we wanted girls to be able to choose their own avatar. And so we'd have like, maybe they were all pink for Sparks, but they were all kind of one ponytail here, or like braids for another, or like we had, different kind of concepts of what different girls could look like, and they would all be pink. But we ran out of time because we were so busy with all the other stuff. So not that we don't have a lot of girls on there right now, but our goals, we're surpassing the guider goals, and we're low on the girl goals. So with that, I think we're all done, but we'd love to take any questions, but it's 7:20, so I think, that's a wrap. There you
go. Okay, we do have time for a few questions. What I'd like to do is basically, if you put your hand up, I'll bring you the mic so you don't have to use your outdoor voice.
I'll come stand next to you so we have 2 mics doing it.
I have 2 questions. So, just wondering, so this was supposed to be a national site, I guess? So, if we could hear maybe about a little bit about the process that went into making it national, and also if you had any challenges dealing with like the English and French aspect of Canada. And also the other question is the content, like the activities, where does that come from and how is the categorization of them dealt with?
Yeah, so the categorization happened on a parallel trajectory from the platform. So the platform was kind of a representation of the program itself. So what ends up in there is based on that. Who writes it? There's a program team, but we also have volunteers across the country who write awesome program. So we bring it from them. We have something called the Girl's First Voice, which is like a personality, and she talks this way, and so everybody ends up sounding the same no matter where they're writing it from, and that and her voice is all over the place here. And we've got translators, and those translators, it was interesting creating. I'm just going back to Paula's. So it was interesting creating a bilingual site. We are obviously behind on creating the French, but we're working with our French volunteers to create French first content so that at least we have French only content and English only and then we can do any left to right languages. So the hope is that we can get all sorts of communities in our beautiful mosaic of Canada and have them write amazing girl program that's relevant to their communities and put it on. As long as it's a left to right language, we can support it.
Next question.
So being that it's modern times and girls are different and everything, how do you deal with the challenges for like the LGBT community and girls who are still girls but they're not girly girl? Like
we are super inclusive in guiding. So I personally have members who are non-binary in my units, and they are welcome. I have multiple girls that identify as members of that community, and they're great. I'm really proud. We walked in Pride this year. We're really supportive. I think the line, if I'm not correct, make sure I'm like, but if you are someone who identifies within that female space and you feel comfortable in it, please come, please join us, and we'd love to have you. Okay. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Sorry if you touched on it already, but just a quick question in regards to I guess how you engage the guides. Like say for instance when you do create like an activity, are you sending out notification emails, or is there expectation that they have to log in each week even if they're like 5, 6? Like how are you getting that communication out to them?
I can talk to my experience as someone who works with 12, 13, and 14-year-olds, so a little bit older. They're still not super, some of my girls have cell phones, some of them do not. They're kind of in that welcoming, starting to create their own digital identities at this age. We do a lot by paper, I've got to be honest. We're at planning meetings, because not everybody has computers, not everybody has cell phones. We write it all down. All the girls take ownership of what they want. We have a computer up with the platform so they can Google, they can figure out what they want. And then as guiders, sometimes we go in and we type it in and we make sure that it's there. And then yes, these get emailed out to everybody and they get distributed that way. They can also log in and see, and we're kind of all over the place. But this is a transition year. So half of our girls are still on paper and half of our girls are on digital. And so we're trying to bridge the gap from the paper book into the digital system.
Yeah, but in terms of guides, a lot of people just think of all of our girls as guides. So I'm guessing that's so. Yeah. So we were contemplating putting a bar here that said, here's all the new stuff. But that didn't happen. And we don't do notifications. And we just say we celebrate through our champion community and through social. That's generally where we do it. Yeah.
Any more questions?
I have a question about how you design this site for privacy, given that you will have very young users.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's a member-only community. We have membership numbers, so only someone with a membership number can have access to that community. It's based on the membership number and email you have in our database. We send that to you. You can change your email. Your email is your login. Just for resetting passwords, that just becomes easier. And just with anybody like 13 and plus, you can comment, but nobody else. No one other than your own guider will see your first and last name as a girl. So if you comment, you're only like Louise K, you're not Louise Kent. And parents can get on as well. We had issues with custody and things that we had to consider. But yeah, we just leave that to the home. But parents are expected to kind of be another member who has access to it. But again, the girls can't see the first and last names either. Does that help?
Can a user delete their account if they want to?
Yes, they can, but they cannot pull their data off of the platform. It's a property of GGC. So as long as you're a member, we make you inactive and we make you invisible. But your membership, what's on our database, is still on there, but nothing else. Does that make sense? So we have two systems. Our national database, if you're still on there, you're still on Girls First. Yeah.
Thank you. I love how beautiful it is and how it's very like visually appealing, but that also worries me of how accessible would this be for if there are Girl Guides with visual impairment.
Yeah. So the lead developer on this is visually impaired. He's completely visually impaired, and he also the company that worked with us is called My Planet, and they developed it to be double A. Yes. 2.0. Yeah. So it's not like the best, but it's compliant and then a little bit, and then some, a little bit. Yeah, for contrast.
I was just wondering in balancing, like, I work in technology and I love digital things, but sometimes the real world is a neat place too. And how does the digital experience like overlap or like weave in with the like in-person experience? Like,
I'm gonna hand this to Paula, but what I would say is think of it as a library. You go to the library, you take out books, you take out resources, and then you experience them in the way that you want to experience them. Girl Guides will always be about a girl-only safe space with a caring female role model who is a catalyst for change in her life, not about this, but
I like your question about balancing digital and balancing real world connections. So when the girls in my unit come in, we have a no cell phone policy. So I have a basket and I collect every single girl's cell phone, and I will find your cell phone and take it from you, because we want the girls focused on what they're doing in their space, and we want them focused on each other. We have had unfortunately experiences of like cyberbullying and whatnot, and so cell phones, we want to get rid of them. We don't like they're always on their Snapchats, they're always on TikToks. These are the things that the 12-year-olds love, and we want them focused on what we're doing. So we do take them away, but we use a lot of technology as a group. So we're watching a lot of YouTube videos. We're going on a projected screen type situation. We use Kahoot every once in a while, so we will hand out their phones and say, let's do some technology, let's use this. But this is a question I actually have for all of you, and one of the reasons why I wanted to come out here was, how do I, as a volunteer who I don't have a lot of tech experience, I work in television, how do I get my girls more engaged in technology? How do I introduce them to the world of coding? How do I get them engaged in this? I really want to do like a hackathon for kids in the community. What would a hackathon look like for a 6-year-old? Like, I would love to have that conversation with you after and learn how we can kind of bring technology into guiding more. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's a question I have for all of you. There is. It's called Decoding, and it's pretty awesome. We're really excited about it. And I can show it to you later as well. If you want to see it more in detail, I'll walk you through it. Oh, really? Yeah.
Okay. One last question? Okay, then. I think thank you very much for presenting to us, and I hope you'll stick around after you've done, and we can have a proper talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.